The large building on the left is the former County Hall, and that used to be the headquarters of the Greater London Council, the GLC, disbanded by Margaret Thatcher, our First Lady Prime Minister. It's now various attractions inside there. We've got the London Dungeons, the Sea Life London Aquarium, and there's a massive great queue for the Shrek's Adventure. Building on the left, you'll see on the embankment there, the Golden Eagle. That's a memorial to airmen who lost their lives in the First and Second World Wars. And the building behind that, that's the Ministry of Defence. There's as much of that building under the ground as above, because it's the Ministry of Defence. Just behind the Wellington, a stone archway with a figure of Father Thames in the arch. Now this is known as Temple Arch, or Temple Gate, and it marks the boundary line between the city of Westminster, which is leaving, and the city of London, we're just entering. Every main entrance into London, you will see an archway or a gateway. Temple Arch, Aldgate, Bishopsgate, Marble Arch, yeah? The next building with the arches and the figures in between the arches, that's the old City of London School for Boys. And it was here that many of our elder statesmen were educated. Lord Attlee and Lord Asquith, Winston Churchill. This one is as original as they can make it. There's no amplification in there. It's an open air theatre, so if it rains you do get wet. People ask me, what's the glass building on the left? As far as I know, it's the headquarters of the London Window Cleaning Company. Luigi the Squeegee, Sammy the Shabby and Billy the Bouquet. The building with the fish on the roof as weather vanes, that's the old Billingsgate Fish Market, on your left. Billingsgate in the English dictionary is a foul-mouthed person, someone that swears a lot. Now, there's a ship on our right. You should be able to see it. I know it's camouflaged. So that's the HMS Belfast. Do you know where that was built? It was built in Belfast, Northern Ireland, 1938. She's got 12 6-inch guns, 6 at the front, 6 at the back. The flag flying from the Belfast, that is the only Union Jack you're going to see today. It's called a Union Jack because it's flying from the wooden jack staff of a Royal Naval ship. All the other flags you see in London are Union flags, okay? So that's a Union Jack. And over to the left, we've got the Tower of London. The central tower, flying the Union flag. That's the Great White Tower. And that was the first part of the building to be constructed during the reign of William the Conqueror in 1078. The rest of the tower was added to by successive monarchs. During its time, it's been a palace, a prison, a beacon, and an observatory. It houses the crown jewels. In front of the tower, you will see, written in white, a blocked-up entry to the Traitors' Gates. Now, traitors would be tried at the Houses of Parliament. They'd be rowed down river in a small boat, taken through Traitors' Gate, where they met their fate.
All right, so that was our day, moving down the River Thames and on to the Tower of London. So we're in the tower. We're going to try to go see the crown jewels. There's no photography. And then the sites of execution, and the menagerie, and probably some ravens. As much as we can possibly see so very quick. Also notice a lot of these cats walking around. They're ornately dressed beef eaters. They've got a very long name, yeoman warders. However, called beef eaters because the king took care of them and let them eat the beef. For hundreds of years, there was a menagerie of animals that were kept here at the tower that were gifts. There aren't anymore, but these apes represent those. There's an elephant. Back in the 1200s, it didn't live very long because they didn't know how to take care of it. Let's see if we can go find out about these royal beasts.
Sound of the beast. There's a beast, not a monkey.
during the First World War. Let's see what these photographs. Recruits were brought to the tower for training and to take an oath. So somewhere right in this area is where Anne Boleyn was executed. She's not the only one. Catherine Howard as well, and others. And of course the memorial over there. Probably the most famous person executed here at the tower was Anne Boleyn, the second wife of Henry VIII, and it's thought that this was the spot where she lost her head. That's why this memorial is here today. Walking along Raleigh's Walk, just outside of the Bloody Tower. Somewhere in this area is where Sir Walter Raleigh had his own garden, which is not really what we think of when we think of prisons. And so, we have a garden to this day. Outside of this building holding the crown jewels, it's very well guarded. The oldest portion of the Tower of London is right here, what is now called the White Tower. It began construction not long after William the Conqueror came over in 1066, the Norman Conquest. And over the next few decades it was constructed. Today you can go in and see the Royal Armoury, but this tower right here at the heart of the Tower of London is where it all started. And then throughout the years, as you can see, the rest of it, the various walls and buildings have been constructed and added to it by different kings and queens, but this right here, the tower, White Tower, is where it all began. In the distance there you can see an elephant. He's not real, which is there to represent the menagerie that we talked about earlier. They used to keep lots and lots and lots of exotic animals here at the Tower of London, but of course they were not cared for in the way that you and I might expect them to be cared for, by and large, because the people hundreds and hundreds of years ago in England did not know how to care for elephants, such as the one down there, who did not live very long, sadly. But they had lions and tigers and snakes, and then as we saw earlier in the other exhibition, there was a polar bear that King Henry VIII had, and they would just put a long rope on him, and they'd allow him to go out into the Thames. They'd allow him to go out into the Thames and fish and swim. Before we get out of here, we've only got a few minutes left. I want to try to get a quick look at a raven. There are ravens that live here in the tower, and they say that if ever the ravens leave the tower will fall. So we better make sure they're still here. Here at the Raven shop, in the Raven Cafe. We have a dove, pigeon. It's just down the road here. There we go. There's our raven friends who live here. So, they're still here, so I suppose the tower is not in any danger of falling.